Greetings and salutations and happy Friday to everybody, guys. How the heck are you? I am the Dungeon Delver, Bill Sylvie. It's good to see you, and it's good to be seen by you. Guys, we have got an absolutely fantastic show on tap for you tonight. Coming up into the studio here in just a few seconds, we are going to have the Bards of Greyhawk and the one and only Allen Hammack returning to answer all your questions, TSR, Greyhawk, and other such like related, and to talk to us about what it is to be an international pop star now. So without further ado and more ramblings from me, let me just click on the right parts of the interwebs and bring those wonderful folks on. Good evening, Bards, and good evening, Allen. Namaste. Good to see you, gentlemen. How the heck are you?
Hail, hail, the Dungeon Delver.
It's just me.
Hey, is that Allen Hammack?
Totally. That is Allen Hammack lurking down there.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
I'm worthy. I won't do it. Anyway, so yeah, Allen's down there on the second level of the dungeon. But anyway,
on my own private level, yes.
You're on your own private level. You are unique number appearing 1 in layer 100%. Anyway,
or it's liar.
Or a percent liar, exactly. I'll leave that up to the audience to decide. So good evening to Imperial Ramblings, Lord Corion, Doomsword Deathmaster. By the way, Doomsword beat me in chainmail jousting today, so he is at the top of the list and has the colors. Dungeon Minister, digesting ribs. Don't do that. You need those. They keep all your stuff in. But anyhow, so we have a good audience of folks out there, and it's kind of a significant day, kind of a notable day, because our friends at Bards of Greyhawk have a spicy new video that they have dropped. And gentlemen, I am going to throw that link up on the screen. Let me see if I can get this to work. Oh, nope, I completely boomered that. If one of you guys wants to drop the YouTube link in the private chat over there, I can share it with our our viewers. But here in just a minute, we are gonna watch.
Let me send it to your email.
Galap-Driedel. We are going to watch the video premiere here. It's going to be a live studio experience.
Just go to my email.
Yeah.
And let me see here.
Stand by.
With artist commentary. So we'll get that up here in just a second, and then you guys can talk about how you got together and how you made this wonderful thing happen. I see it there. All right.
Oh, you see it already?
I see it. Yeah. Let me just copy that and paste it.
Oh,
so if you guys after the show, you want to go watch the video, don't do it now. We'll miss all the cool commentary stuff. But you can go watch the video. So
excellent.
Nobody watching this live stream has any excuse to not be aware of who my guests are. First of all, because the Bards made that absolutely fantastic theme music that you guys hear before every show, to which I am eternally grateful.
Jeremy, that one was Jeremy. Props where they are due. Jeremy.
Hey, well, okay, all right. Well, props to Jeremy. And I'm going to tell you something. There are fans of the show, viewers on the stream, who don't know the origin of the song, don't know the rather demanding specs that I gave you guys for its creation, who are like, I love that song. That sounds just like Led Zeppelin. And I'm like, well,
that was kind of what we
I did.
Tell them what you told us.
So, and of course, Allen down here on his own sub level is responsible for, if you play AD&D, if you play classic AD&D, it's got this guy's fingerprints on it in a good way. In a great way, because Allen brought us, of course, the A3 module, Assault on the Area of the Slave Lords, which, in addition to having one of the coolest module titles of all time, I mean, it's got all the words, includes, I think, the only classic AD&D module that has an actual urban adventure, not urban locale, but urban adventure where the adventuring goes on at the city street level, which makes it particularly awesome. And Suderham, I mean, South Home, you were thinking of Sweet Home Alabama when you wrote that.
Oh, is that where they get that?
I have a question. Did you take a vacation to Crater Lake because of the inside of because it feels like it's Crater Lake on the inside of that, right? You know, where you have the island in the middle of an island in a volcano.
Yeah, I just loved playing with names. I mean, almost all the names either are me flipping pages in a dictionary and stabbing my finger, or making a play on somebody I knew or some name from our campaign. So
that's awesome.
Like Gary did, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it goes on. Well, we have a song called Suderham City as well that tells part of that tale.
We almost wanted to coin that. We probably couldn't, but we wanted to coin the name Suderham and start releasing Suderham lines of accessories, right?
Yeah.
Suderham approved.
We were going to make a meme about, because of what happens in the city and the crumbling. Suderham City Public Works Department,
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yes, true.
Finger in the eye, Wizards of the Coast. I approve.
Who?
Hey, Roll Tide IR. Hey, we'll get him next season, right, Alan?
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't expect us to get all the way to the championship, man. It was a rebuild.
They got through the third quarter fine, so
I know. We played exactly one season and 3 quarters of just absolutely great football.
Yep.
So,
that's all right. I've got another team that's doing well. So
the Kings of the North, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Kings of the North.
Green Bay.
Kings of the North. Kings of the North. The Kings of the North.
So, yes, hello. I see you all out there. And hey, if you guys have got any questions for Alan or the Bards, please put them in the comments. We're going to get to them. But I think what I'd like to do now, what we just like to jump into, instead of listening to me ratchet my jaw for another interminable period, we're going to check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, the world premiere of Galap-Driedel happened today, and I have the video here, and I have the video's creators here. So we're going to watch that. And if you guys want to chime in with any comments on the action as it rolls along, and it is action, I should point out, feel free to. Let me just bring that on the screen here. Hopefully my wheezing little PC here can show this, and
it'd be cool.
So we're going to add that to stream. And here we go.
Nice long intro. That's my wife singing the power part.
Oh, neat.
We made a lot of appearances with us.
Yeah, she is there.
The dungeon in this.
In the ancient peaks of the Apples, thrust skyward sharp from the shadow of the past, great Eldritch jewel, born of glorious fire. The seer told to him the legend of the gem, enchanting him with tales prevail against the forces of evil.
This makes me strangely pleased. This jewel I will seize from the brilliant sun, the great diamond to be won.
Its ancient master knew what the Eldritch Jewel would do. The white light of the gem would trap the souls of men. If you obtain the jewel, then you'll be sure to rule and protect the realm with strength and honor.
From the dungeons I shall call 5 criminals in all, and send them on a quest to this keep of Inverness. If the 5 of you perform but one simple task, if you bring the jewel to me, then I shall set you free. For when I obtain the jewel, then I am sure to rule and guard the land with might and power.
Galap-Driedel raised up the central tower from the fabric of time. All around us turns all hours without the passage of time. The denizens then never hungered or aged, always ready to defend. Legends say late that his power was so great. But then there came the day Galap-Driedel stole away. The people to lay siege to the haunted Inverness. They brought the tower down and watched it crumble to the ground. On fog-shrouded nights, it can still be seen. For out the tower's pierce, the darkened clouds above, walls anchor deep in the ruins of the keep. Peace on checkered floors, for keys to silver doors. Under hope confusion, traps of death's illusion. Rubble-filled room, the manticore and store. Sarcophagus rules, but their stasis too. Upward through the tower, circle higher, soft liquid same, molten sea of fire. Beware the death that shall someday end. Peaks of our walls, from a shadow of the past. Great Eldritch Jewel, born of glorious fire. Falling upward and in the water they did swim, battling giant fish to fulfill the Grand Duke's wish.
For if I obtain the jewel, then I shall surely rule, and rule the land with might and power.
Up in the jewel room, the grand diamond it did loom, suspended in the air. The soldier floated there, a sudden flash of light. One adventurer turned white and screamed as the gem drew forth his soul. It was only then they knew the terror of the gem and the power of its agent. master. In the ancient peaks of the Emeralds, through a skyward shot, shadow of the past.
Nice.
Wow. Wow, that is
Bravo to Alan.
bravo, guys. Absolutely fantastic job. What a phenomenal job by everybody. Jeremy, you said your wife was coming in on the vocals.
She sang the beginning intro part, yeah.
Oh
Great.
my God, that was absolutely lovely.
She's on both albums, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
She's on both of the albums of the Bards of Greyhawk records.
Excellent. And if you guys ever want to,
Just lost you.
Uh-oh. I lost you. Lost power. Come in.
Yes, we will stall until he gets his sound.
Yes. So I have a question for you, Alan. Was the soul gem invented before this, or this was the first time a soul gem
I
ever
could have
appeared?
asked him about that. Yeah.
No, it was written. It was created just for this. I had the idea of something that they were going to have to go up and get, and frankly, I don't know how everybody asks writers how you come up with your ideas. Well, I don't know, or you're just walking around and you see something and ooh, that would be interesting someday, and you write it down.
I mean, that's lived. In your Skyrim games now, that's the soul gems are pretty big in the entire universe now.
Yeah. I just, since you kind of came up with the term before anyone else did, it seemed like,
Yep. The first time we ever heard of soul gem
predated anything
history of
Marvel
RPG.
or Skyrim, in my opinion. What do I know? I am but a humble bard.
Hey, well,
taking it back. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yep. Coming in.
Hey, we can hear you.
You're coming in loud and clear. That's right.
Oh, right. So, yeah, and that's quite that's quite the deep voice you bring out. I mean, you must be a ton of fun at the gaming table.
Didn't he say
you are aware that was Milli Vanilli, so
That was totally.
I actually do have a deep voice. I had a deeper one when I was younger. I sang Caiaphas in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Dude, that's
Nice.
awesome.
Wow, really?
Awesome.
But the
Little
rush of this didn't allow us to, for me to have enough rehearsal time to sync it properly to their music. So we went with one of the professional singers' voices. So,
Well, regardless, it's
That's so crazy.
it's
It was
lovely.
such a scandal back then, Milli Vanilli.
Yeah.
Now everybody does
Yeah.
it. It's just like you could have been pioneers, but the shame.
well, it's just like it's like in every movie, they film it and then they have to go in for audio redubs and takes, in almost every scene of every movie. So you just can't. It's a challenge getting the sound right. And
Yeah.
me recording on a webcam is not the same as you guys recording in a studio setup. So
Damn straight about that. I've had a long education in that and made a bunch of failed videos to start with, right? They weren't so great.
But that's how you learn. If you can never be a master if you're afraid of being a fool.
Yeah, I stopped doing pre-recorded videos. I figure if I came out here and I face planted night after night, at least that would have some entertainment value. But my attempts to do pre-recorded video were so awful, as I was basically trying to edit. Like, imagine giving a caveman 500 feet of wet footage, and he's trying to use his knacked piece of flint to edit him. That's what my video editing was like. So I absolutely feel you.
Well,
And,
I guess they call that warts and all, right? You just
warts and all,
straight-
yeah. So you
straight
guys.
A famous person we worked with called it that once.
You guys get the raw feed, the live
and that's why I enjoy doing live theater, and why you guys like doing live performances is because it's
Sure.
real, it's of the moment, and and it's not going to be the same as on your CD or download.
No, stuff happens in a live setting.
Yeah.
There's distractions and all kinds of interesting. Some of the live shows were the best I've ever played, and some of the live shows were the worst I've ever played.
Of course.
Unfortunately, people had to see the worst ones I've ever played.
But you get it down like we had in Pochain, and we were just so live, you get it down. Lately, I've been watching a lot of things on YouTube about Buster Keaton, and man, take that mental approach he did. If the gag didn't work, they weren't going to use it, and he did his own stunts and everything. And it was just, he had the angle down from the camera. He had set it all up, and he would sometimes just one take, and sometimes he would improvise.
Yeah, because a multiple take would have killed him.
Yes, of course. And
no, let's have the train run over me
half
again.
Of it was written, the other half was just improvised by Buster Keaton, as it happened to work out. And I like to take that approach in kind of what we do. Just, let's work with it as we go. That's how we write our music, pretty much. And the same one was this one. I know that was a long video by YouTube standards for a song. It seems like today.
Our mini movies.
It's like a short film. It's one of our. In fact, it's our longest video.
It's no Bat Out of Hell, but
right.
I know.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about Buster Keaton, Alan. You remember when those movies first came out, right? Sorry.
Wow.
I did
He's
see
pretty
them
mean.
when they first came out. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I'm
not one to throw stones. I have a birthday coming up this Saturday. It is the
No, I did run with a strange crowd in high school that the theater people that got me into some what would have been considered much older things like the Marx Brothers, which is just incredibly rich in comedy, same kind of thing. If they didn't, they might do a scene up multiple times, but mainly, it was film was expensive. They couldn't afford to do it very many times.
Yeah, back then it was actually
no kidding.
Petroleum byproduct film.
Yeah, that's it. They lost so many of those just because the stuff they made them out of was not designed to sit for 40 years. It ate itself.
So let's talk about how the song came about, and then more so how we were able to finally get Alan.
Well, let's definitely put the horse before the cart here. How did the song come about?
Okay, well, that was on our first album, of course, and we had kind of charted off the way the band started. Just to recap that for those who don't know, the way the band started is we were in another band at the time, a Celtic pirate rock band, and that's how we met. And so we were playing all kinds of crazy stuff there, and I was coming over and hanging out, and we would just come over and jam and stuff. And I found out he was an old D&D player. I was like, hey, so am I. And
he found my box,
my
big box module. So he's like, you got all this one, you got this one, you got that one.
So I opened up, remember this one, and we just instantly, like two old gamer friends, were just like, okay, do you remember what happened in this and that one and that? Yeah, so we picked up another one. Oh, I remember this one. I remember doing this, and you had to fight this and that. So by the time I pulled the third one out, I stopped it halfway through, and it just hit me. And I said, we should write songs about these stories. And he thought about it for a second.
Good idea.
And then I said, no band's ever done that. And then he was like, I'm sold. Let's do it. Let's do something no band's ever done. You can find, plenty of bands have written about D&D. They've written about Lord of the Rings. But I'm not detracting any of that because we've discussed a lot of that, and that's the source of our inspiration, to be told. Stuff that we grew up listening to and hearing from the Beatles, all of those other things. But we just wanted to dial it in and retell the tales of these modules from these amazing writers and game creators like our good friend Alan here, for a new generation in song. And that's kind of how that came about.
And C2 is just such one of those. I mean, I asked Rich, when did you play that one? I remember probably 13. I remember playing Ghost. I remember that C2 module, just like one of the ones that stuck in my head.
I was a freshman in high school, and I had a weekend. We turned it into a whole weekend because we stayed up. I was in ninth grade. A couple of my friends' house. So it was just he ran it for us, and it was just like the most amazing thing ever.
Hey, another question. I mean, Wizard's Chess, because of the encounter in the module, was that ever invented before that? Was that an old adage? The idea of like, you go on the checkerboard and you have to cross.
Well, yeah, I thought about, I had seen or heard of things where in fantasy novels where somebody had to move like a chess piece, but then I thought, so how can I give this a spin? And I hit on the, well, I studied tricks and illusions and things like that, and magic in the stage sense, and I knew about human pattern recognition, and that we were so ingrained to seeing black and white as the checkerboard, or brown and white if it's wood, that if you mix the colors up, it might throw the ingrained pattern recognition of years off enough for the people not to realize what they needed to do. And in a lot of cases, it works. So.
Yeah, that's another one that's kind of like, I think Harry Potter now.
There's a big setup. When you saw that pop up in Harry Potter, Alan, did you go, hey, wait a minute?
Yeah, well, they did it visually much better than I could, but hopefully, every time I've run this, every single convention that I go to, and there's usually somebody that hasn't played it yet, and every single outcome is different. I mean, that's kind of the fun of it, and nobody reacts the same way to that room. So yeah, it's fun.
That's the beauty of a D&D game, and when you're adding random people and players, that you never have the same reaction. I love that about D&D, because to me, it's kind of like jazz improvisation. When you're playing D&D, there's like, what can you think of? What you're composing as you go, So I think that's a beautiful part of the game, and that and the artwork probably is my favorite.
Dungeon Master, man, the jazz DM.
The jazz DM.
Dude, absolutely.
Now we're doing this.
Hey, players.
Yeah, I mean, insofar as like the imagination of my games, and when I'm doing notes and getting ready for a game, I'll put the headphones on and I'll listen to stuff, classic rock stuff and classic rock sounding stuff. I mean, Gary was absolutely a jazz man. Gary loved his jazz music. So it's funny to go back and look at old forum posts back. God, it's hard to think of like 2003, 2004 as old, but whatever. To go back and see people make those comments to him, like, yeah, do you listen to Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd or anything? No,
John Coltrane, right?
Exactly. But
so that's cool.
His system reads like a chord theory book or something. And as a musician, when I was going to D&D, the transition between the music rules and the D&D rules was so fluid that it was almost the same exact system in my head. So wow. Yeah, I totally believe in
that is a beautiful take on it, man. That's absolutely great. What's your jam when it comes to music, Alan?
Oh, it's eclectic. I like Broadway show music. I like orchestral movie themes. John Barry, the first of the James Bond composers. And I like Heart. I like ABBA. I'm all over I like Celtic folk. As all sorts of things. Variety is good. And give me some old Christopher Lee heavy metal too. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right on.
And the blood of the Saxon. It's amazing. Yes. The first time I heard it, I fell in love with it. I was like, ooh, what? How have I not known about this? Yeah, we'll have to get you a heavy metal, your own heavy metal album then.
Well, I think that's the next step. Logically, Alan, is you and the Bards, an Allen Hammack fronted heavy metal album. Is really what we audience, don't we want that? Don't we?
Hard enough getting him to do our video.
An amen from the
audience.
audience.
Have to wait for 5 years for that.
We could do Vegas, Alan. We'll go to Vegas and do a stay.
Oh, God.
Awesome.
Will be huge.
It'll be huge.
Be huge. Oh, God. Don't get me good.
I know I'm not.
I promise. We got to vote for some Celtic folk music from Ron Redmond there in the audience.
Celtic folk.
I mean, I love. You know, when they first told me about their original band that they were in, I went, pirate Celtic what? You know, and great.
We'll give a
punk element in there.
We'll give a shout out to our friend Christian. The name of the band was Pochine, and you can check out some stuff there. He's been around for many, many years before we came along, and we just
we had fun. That was a fun. It was just fun. We got really drunk and played a lot of fun places, and just had a lot of times that were probably more frustrating. But then when you look back at it, you laugh. Just that was really funny, but. Yeah, living through some of the times was probably not.
Yeah, we went on tour back to Missouri and played Irish pubs along the way, and just the people you meet and the life you live is just, once in a lifetime experience, and it's worth every moment of it, including all the frustration and the cold weather, getting your keys locked out and everything that goes along with it. But
yeah, inevitably on the road, there's always a breakdown at some point that just everybody in the band quits for temporarily for a half hour. We played a little place. It was what was that place in Weston? It was great. It was a old wine cavern.
Yeah, it was an old pub with a sub basement that they originally used to keep their beer warm that they would brew there. It's an old brewery.
That was cool.
Brewing it. Yeah,
it was really hot. It was the air conditioning in the bus didn't work, and it was hot, 110 degrees.
This old bus was just horrible.
And we showed up there, and you open the door, and the cool air just kind of blows out of the cellar. You're like, oh, thank God. But I just remember the singer Christian he stayed up the night before getting drunk, and then he drove the bus all the way
all across
so he was already hammered and hurting, and I think Paula, the violin player, put her violin on the stage, and the lead singer moved it, and that was all it took. Paula's like, I'm going home.
That's it.
Rent a van with me. Let's leave. Let's go.
As we're like setting up, it's like, come on, we got to do the show. Oh yeah, okay, let's do the show. We're all divas. That's what he says.
Yeah,
we're all divas. Yeah. But no, it's great. I mean, so that's basically getting back to the original point, how we met, and so we did the song. It was on our first album. And so we had kind of charted out and picked the modules out that he had. Okay, we'll write a song about that one, kind of in order of a campaign.
Yeah,
that was my idea, so we could do later albums as we level.
I got the idea, and I think, Alan, I don't know, if I would be predicting exactly what you were trying to think, but to me, when I'm looking at the idea of the soul gem, it's like power corrupts, right? So maybe the Duke meant to do good, and as the gem became more pervasive in his world, it's like the gem possessed him enough to almost get twisted and evil, and his good heart started getting burned up.
When you guys did the song and then later the video and were talking to me about your take on this, that was interesting. That wasn't quite the way I'd originally envisioned it, but I went, yeah, I can see that. I can work with that and make that and it certainly is a logical take on it. But yeah, I always had the idea that the seer was a little bit of a malevolent influence. Yes. Really what I was doing was playing with the idea of seeing if I could describe somebody's alignment without using the terms of alignment. And so I as I talked about his, lilting voice, somewhat evil drip, kind of thing. I was trying to show neutral evil, for what it's worth. But and the idea was that the Duke wasn't necessarily a bad guy, but as the ruler of a fairly sizable portion, he had to deal with the most powerful wizard of the area. If he's a neutral evil wizard, okay, I'd rather have him on my side than have to go against him. So that was how the partnership got together.
That's cool. Nice to know from the author about the actual intention there.
Yeah, that's very cool to hear.
Yeah.
So much fun, Bill. Thanks for setting this all up, Bill. I want to say thanks to Bill for setting this all up. I appreciate it. So yeah, that's how the song came about. So we set it up in order of the modules they thought that would be played. So first on BG1 was the
we did the Rogon and Zelagar was the first track
B1,
on the album,
and then B2, Keep It on the Borderlands.
Yeah, we did several takes on that. We did like a version of the Mad Hermit where you kind of hear the Mad Hermit losing his mind, and we redid that song in a little different fashion.
A reprise.
Yeah.
We do pay homage with a reprise. And then in that first album is when we paid homage to the A series near the end.
Well, yeah, we did all the three. So we actually did a song about A3 too, which was Suderham City.
A3 and A4 we combined.
Yeah, we were probably out of...
We were running out of songs for our first album. So we combined. We did one for A1, one for A2, and then A3 and 4 we combined into Suderham City.
Well, A4.
Well, I don't want to overstep my bounds here, but if you guys are going to do a video for Suderham City,
we have one.
Oh, it's out there.
It's out there.
Yeah, it was one of our first videos. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we could always revisit it. And,
what was your idea? Let us hear.
Oh, I was just going to say, maybe get Alan in as to play one or all of the slave lords. Just do quick costume changes. There you go.
Around the table, like the
not Marquesa though. We're not going to ask you to play
table. There's
Marquesa.
Alan and Alan.
That's funny. I did do. I was part of a live radio reading of War of the Worlds, where all of us played like 8 or 9 different parts. And we had to remember what voices we were using for which parts just by shifting pieces of paper sometimes. That was a lot of fun.
That's like being a DM and running all your...
Yeah, I have done that in D&D games before where I've been doing a voice for an NPC, talked to the players, gone back to another NPC, but used the wrong voice for that NPC. And they're completely confused because they're like, wait a minute, the guy that was just threatening to slit our throats and pull our tongues out is now like wondering what we want to drink. Like, oh, no, wait, no. That's not how he said. No, hang on a second.
You have to have a list if you're doing all
that was the wrong offensive accent. I had a different accent.
Yep.
I failed that one as well, I think, a few times from the game.
In fact, we played some basic D&D right here last Saturday.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Yep.
Yeah, we played the old school essentials basic D&D. I hadn't played basic since just before we had played, this module when I was like 13. I hadn't played basic, since I was like in 8th grade. But I remember the fun of it. It was so much fun. And Chris
his character died the first encounter.
The very first.
I'm doing it right.
I spent plate mail and a shield and everything.
We went down the first hit.
Yeah, first thing.
And that's the old school experience in a nutshell.
Yes.
It was awesome.
I didn't cry.
That reminds me when we played Blackmore. We went and met the Blackmore people, and he had us roll up 2 characters, and both of them died within 10 minutes.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah,
we got to play Arneson's Taunusborg Dungeon from the guys who made the film Secrets of Blackmore. And shout out to my boy Griff. Thanks for that invite. And if you see that film, that's
they've remade that book just amazing too. They reprinted it and put it in a hardcover.
They have a brand new limited edition of the Taunusborg Dungeons that Arneson drew up when they found all the maps and stuff. But the Secrets of Blackmore film. Check it out.
So I can't remember if I asked you this, and Alan, I apologize if I have, but when was the first time you played D&D? I mean, you had talked about being a gamer, but I mean, what was that like? I mean, we have the advantage of being, D&D was fairly culturally entrenched when we jumped it, but I mean, to get it as a fresh new experience had to be just a real mind blower. What was that like for you, getting a crack at D&D the first time and making that jump then into creating, honestly, some of the most memorable modules ever written for the game.
Truly.
Too kind. I remember even before the D&D, we actually were playing Chainmail, as I was discussing with you, and played the Chainmail Fantasy Supplement. And that was my first experience with wizards and Nazguls in games. And I went, oh, this is fun, and said, I've and then about a year or two after we played that, we got the experience of playing in the first D&D game that we had, the original D&D. And I went, oh, this is, now we were war gamers. We were used to complex sets of rules. And I went, well, this is the most complex set of rules I've seen so far. Great,
Right.
Sounds like this guy, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have. Yeah, it was red meat to us. It's like getting a great new show. We binged on it, of course. And
awesome.
one guy ran as DM for about 2 weeks before he said, okay, when are one of you guys going to run? And we said, what? You're the DM. And he said, no, I'm going to play too. Some of you are going to have to run. As a matter of fact, and we got together and talked, everybody who plays has to run. So everybody in our group, did that. And so you got to play more than you had to run, because, running is hours and hours of prep, so unless you're just doing the dungeon crawl, running the random monster table, which you could do.
Right.
Yeah, I was just doing that a while back.
But yeah, you were talking about Blackmore. We at the time we're running. First you're running off the photocopied rules that you had seen somebody play at a convention, then the brown box, then the white box, and then we're waiting for those pamphlet supplements. The Greyhawk supplement came out a few months later. Then the Blackmore supplement came out, and we went, hit a location. This is great. And then the monsters started using hit location on us, and we went, this sucks. We're not using this anymore. No, they're killing us. One, again, the arrow to the head, or arrow to the knee. But you could have 100 hit points, and with a headshot, still finish killing one blow. So
yes,
yes, very much fun. And in those days, it's kind of like waiting on a new George R.R. Martin book or a new Bards of Greyhawk release. You're anticipating for months and months and months when the next supplement will come out and your next set of fun additions.
Nice.
Well put.
So I think we got to do the C2 song after we did all the A songs.
Yes.
So we finished up A1, A2, and A3, A4. I was going to say about that, I think in tournament, A4 really didn't quite exist anyway. It was kind of an afterthought, or it was a tournament, but it wasn't that.
No. A4 was the A1 through A4 were all part of one tournament, and A4 was the final round of the tournament, and A3 was the semifinal round. And
so I was wrong.
A1 and A2 were equal but different first rounds.
Yeah. And didn't Lawrence Chicks write A4?
White Plume Mountain he wrote.
Yeah. I thought he wrote one of them. I thought he wrote one of the Acers. I don't know.
I didn't start my usual disclaimer with Bill to the best of my recollection, but that is,
of course, yeah.
That applies to everybody. Everyone here, audience included. We have to go with that default to the best of my recollection.
The chat.
So when we were doing the songs, I like to orchestrate because I'm definitely a classical musician. I trained at a classical music school.
Yeah.
And I think I've been more, it was a performance school, but I've been more into the idea of composition, all the way along. So, using kind of the concept of music instruments might take on a character, right? The viola was meant to be the Duke. What else did we put in there? I'm trying to think. Oh, we bought the penny. Rich was just loving the penny whistles. He was just kind of going off, and that was kind of a natural thing from the Irish band. And he came up with a little chorus of penny whistles.
Well, I was inspired by the Recorders on Stairway to Heaven.
Oh,
it was kind of like my homage at the beginning, with John Paul Jones.
Nice.
John Paul Jones, I almost feel like saying, peace be upon him. He's like straight-eyed of him. But, John Paul Jones, he did the Recorders on that part. So I was like, we could, I kind of was going for that.
And then we had the Glockenspiel, too.
Do we have to?
We were just talking about the Glockenspiel.
Der Glockenspiel.
And of course, Howard Shore liked your idea so much he used the tin whistle in his Lord of the Rings music for the Shire.
Yes, of course he did. Now I'm speaking like Gandalf. Thank you very much.
Now I'm going to say I got to say something that my campaign people, my friends, wanted me to pass on, which was that if they were doing the songs in order of the modules, C2 should have been the last one because nobody ever came back from it. So.
True. Well, I just love it. I'm actually in the process of another game we play is Hackmaster, as Bill knows, Hackmaster 5e, and it's got that hyper realism, real super crunchy, super gritty, war game level of complexity to it, but it yields a realism that you don't find in other games, which is what we enjoy. So it's worth it. Doing all the math.
That's funny you say that because we almost didn't have C2 was almost the last song on the record. Then we wrote Greyhawk the Brave.
We wrote Priceless.
Well, we wrote Priceless Arms last. That was the very last song written.
That was the plan, was to end with White Plume Mountain song, and that would be the end of the first album or this adventure or campaign.
Well, I don't know because we started with Caraptus, but I think that was the idea with Caraptus was kind of like a prologue.
Yeah.
Or like you might hear like a guy in a bar or singing the song, and then it sends the whole party on the adventure.
See, now I would think that if you're doing a bar set, that Greyhawk the Brave is going to be your finale, because that's a foot stomper, so.
Yeah, yes. It's an homage to Scotland the Brave.
Scotland the Brave, of course.
Yeah, which we did in the other band. So we were used to doing that one. That's a famous bagpipe song, Scotland the Brave, So we looked at the words for it, and I was like, we should write, Greyhawk the Brave.
It was another attempt at the parody album, but
it was an homage, And we wondered, I wonder if we did that version instead of Scotland the Brave at a pub, would there be some, angry Irish person?
There probably might be. We haven't encountered them yet, but they might be there.
Still waiting. How dare you change up the song, lad? Big city.
It might happen.
But it does ask the question though. If you guys do an homage to S3 Expedition to the Barrier Peace, are you going to break out like the Korg synthesizers and drop like a techno industrial song for that one?
I mean, I would go with. I like the space rock element. I do a lot of that actually in my other stuff. I do.
Yeah. You should hear his main man. Good shot.
I got my Free Rat, RADT, Free Rat.
If you like that jazzy type stuff that he's talking about,
kind of like that was where I was before we started Bards. Even before we started the Celtic band, I was doing Free Rat for
that man.
A few years. I got like 4 albums on that one. I got a new couple albums that I've been tossing around that I might release under that. But
it's great.
All right, excellent.
And we have another Bards thing in the works. It's the music's written, it's sitting there, but we haven't.
And what's that for, Sergeant Kent?
We were thinking about that.
We haven't made any
final.
Because
no final,
how deep Sarge Kent is that you can easily write a whole album about, just Sarge Kent.
Sarge Kent is such a, it is a keystone of Greyhawk lore, that whole thing. And I want to ask you some Greyhawky questions if you've got the time, Alan, and to the best of your recollection, as you can answer those. Of course, all caveats apply. A couple of comments, and I'm not sure how tongue-in-cheek this is or is not. Damien X247 in the chat says, Dark Sun concept album when?
I love Dark Sun. I played a great Dark Sun campaign in the late 90s.
The problem is that we're named the Bards of Greyhawk. I mean, that doesn't really lend itself to Dark Sun now, does it?
It's an homage to another TSR world. We'd have to call it something else, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think we're stuck in the idea of having to sing about Greyhawk and.
Come on, there are dimensional portals.
Absolutely.
I had so much fun in that. Athos was just like I could really get down with, and the Thri-Kreen and all the people that we fought. And it was a low magic world from what I remember, and I was playing a wizard, so.
Well, Damien, there you go. There's a maybe.
Yeah, hit us up.
Maybe they're not. I'm not hearing a no.
No ever. I mean, there's always an experiment, but it's
there are
kind of a limited time concept of like, what do I have to get to? I would like. Yeah, finishing. Probably we're still just finishing the BG2. Really, I mean,
what do you mean?
We did all the album, but we're still doing promotions. Like we did our comic book. Rich brought out the cover, so why don't you show them the cover, Rich?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bring that up.
I sent Bill a copy. What did I do with it?
It's right there in front of you.
Oh yeah. So this is the cover. This is a promo cover of our comic book.
So the light's getting in there.
There you go. And this artwork,
loving it,
against the Spider Queen.
Put that up there and center it, Rich. Bring it a little more.
There you go.
There you go. Oh, that's perfect. I love it.
Let me move the other lamp.
Okay. We're going to talk about Against the Spider Queen. It's our debut comic book.
I can't get that to go away.
It's the background line. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. I can get rid of it.
Shit.
Well, you've done it now.
I just stomped on your water bottle.
Oh, it's going everywhere. So, center. This cover artwork was done by Jeff D.
Jeff D.
Our
wow.
good friend Jeff D. Yes. We did the album artwork for both of our albums. So we had to ask him to, do the comic book. And it's kind of funny. My daughter, I was talking to her the other day. Said, yeah, we're getting Allen Hammack, in our video. He's making an appearance. And she tells me, you mean like Stan Lee? Yeah, just like Stan Lee.
So the coloring book, actual comic books now.
So, yeah, Jeff D did this. That's how we asked Jeff to do a comic
So we made a coloring book, too. I just remember the Dungeons & Dragons coloring book from when I was a kid.
That's
so
great.
I actually started coloring our coloring book.
Yes, but it's a black and white coloring book that you kids at home can color any way you like.
Woohoo!
Why don't you flip it to one of the cartoons on the one of his cartoons? Yeah.
So what we've done is we took the comic and we asked Jeff to make it that we could print it out as a coloring book as well.
Oh, that is spiffy.
That is definitely Jeff D. Wonderful.
Yeah, it is. That is straight up Jeff D.
Yeah.
So we have 6 pages of original Jeff D. that you can only
Seven
get
pages,
7 pages. It's 7.
That's the cover. 8.
3, sir.
So you can get this right now by contacting us, messaging us. We're going through a revamp of our online store, our online website. But the comic it's a good thick comic. It's got I don't know how many pages.
32.
32 pages. So good stuff. Original artwork from Jeff D. and a bunch of other fun stuff.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The funnest part about that was actually going back and forth with Jeff D. and telling what the vision was, because it's really cool to tell an artist because I saw that art when I was a kid, so it was cool to have it tell an artist here's what I want you to do, make this like that, and it was a lot of fun.
So
that is nice.
Each page is one of our songs, and so he did a great job of taking our songs and taking them to comic book status. So it's this multimedia approach that we like to take, because it also culminates in something else that we did. We did live theater combined with our music, combined with the comic book characters in the book.
Yeah, it's like on the warnings to their masters.
Yeah.
So that page.
Yeah.
You're on the wrong side. You got to go on the other side of it.
Sure.
I'll find it for you.
I'll regale the audience if you want. So
he's talking about these. Where is it? These guys right here. And get it.
There we go.
Those are the 3 characters in the play.
Yeah, we wrote a play, a screenplay, a live screenplay where we wrote out improv D&D comedy about what happens in our comic book. We had good friends of the band that learned the lines. We wrote it all. And she did a great job of helping us as a director.
That was Teresa.
Yeah, Teresa did that for us.
Teresa Carroll, or not Teresa Carroll.
Yeah, all friends of his from the
Teresa,
music
what's her
store
last name,
where
man?
he works at. So
What's Teresa's last name? I can't remember now.
I don't quite remember.
Having a mind.
You worked with her, but anyway, so yeah, we pulled off this. It was at a place here in Denver called the Voodoo Comedy Playhouse, and you see parts of that on some of our videos. But we're going to release the entire thing. We recorded it, and it was just, the house was packed, and it was so much fun to do. But we kind of envisioned that as like an off-Broadway D&D live, production that we've done. So we're trying to take that to the next level from the music, the videos, the comic book, and now the live performance. So
very overwhelming to do that because, you get in the middle of it. And I think we started with maybe 6 weeks. It wasn't long.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew about it at the end of December, and we had the performance. Okay, it was a little farther. It was like the beginning of March, so it was 2 months. But we didn't have a script. None of the videos were made. We didn't have anything. No. We had already agreed to the show. And of course, we got in the middle of it. And we're like, we got to put I'm just crazy and stuff. Like, we need videos that we can play in front of. So we made videos for all the songs so we could play our guitars while we had the video going. And that was enough work in itself. I spent my entire Christmas vacation. I didn't do anything but make videos that entire Christmas. And then we didn't have a script, and Rich had started and sketched it out, and I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? So then I was lucky enough to find Teresa.
She helped us fix the script. We had a few meetings about that.
Yeah, she came and just completely hashed it out for us.
We let her take over. Once I saw how good she was, I was like, you're in charge. You're hired stage director, screenwriter. And we lucked out there. But it was so much fun to do, and so we'd like to just keep it going if we can get it going, but that's down the line at some of our plants.
Sounds like you guys did the Microsoft pitch to IBM approach. Of course, we have an operating system to sell you. It's right over here. We'll bring it to you at the end of the weekend. No
problem. We can put something together.
I think I always do better in those situations by the skin of my teeth, right? Then you're just forced to perform, and so you have to rise to the occasion.
The show must go on.
Oh, we have to ask our present veteran of the stage. Is this about par for the course, Alan? Or
I mean, that kind of desperation can inspire some of the best work. By the way, I love the idea of your musical play there, and would love to have seen it. But I did see one play. There aren't many D&D theater experiences. I was one of the few people to see the Lord of the Rings musical because it opened in Toronto and didn't make it to Broadway. But we flew to Toronto to see it. And also there was a play called She Kills Monsters. It's not a light play. But it is D&D related, and the woman who is the focus of it might have mental problems or might not, but she relates a lot of real life to her Dungeons and Dragons experience, and so there's a lot of fun, and I will say that in our case, the first 2 rows should have come with a splatter warning like Gallagher's shows do.
Oh man.
There is a fake blood splash that's pretty epic, but
well, you're absolutely right, Alan. I also saw that one, She Kills Monsters. I was able to be the guest of a mutual friend of ours.
Yeah.
Whose daughter worked on that, and so it was really well done, and it really was a good use of D&D translating into real world issues.
Right.
That were both very creative and very insightful, and I think it did its job very well.
As a gamer, I mean, I come in any kind of fan. I come from the idea that any type of production of something like this, I like to support because it's good for the hobby, it's good for the game, and in this case, it was a nice piece of art, on its own. So,
yeah.
But I really wish I'd seen your guys' show. So.
Well, we're gonna make it available as
I have the video. We videoed the whole thing.
But it's not live. I wanted to see it live.
Yeah.
Well, when we go on to a bigger show, once we get some money,
we have the
backers. We have
when you expand it from 3, give me a call. And
yeah, which is awesome because we actually had we were like, how are we gonna do Loth? Because we had Loth in it, so we needed the spider Carapace thing, right? And but we made it. It sits on the back of somebody, and there's a belt and it holds you there, and the legs kind of stick out. But we had a kind of a snobby Loth, and I don't think she wanted to wear it. She didn't.
But she did a great job of the show.
She was fantastic. She had this beautiful dress, kind of the Marilyn Monroe style, and she was.
I could see that you could really choose scenery playing Loth. I think that would be a great part. So.
Some great. It was a big spider, carapace attached to
we
the
didn't
back.
get to use it because the place where we were doing it, the doors were not too big, and she was afraid it was going to get caught on her, caught in between the door when she was trying to come out.
I can kind of see that.
And then I also
just like a real spider would feel, yeah. So,
right. And then I think it was a matter of pride for her, really. I think she just didn't want to. Yeah, she just didn't want to wear a spider Carapace thing. But I think it would have been totally funny, and people would have laughed their tail off out of this. I thought it would have been awesome if we would have managed to.
Yeah, we were desperate, so it's not like I could go all, Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
You know how many broads we got waiting for this role? You put the damn thing on right now, okay? You're out in the street. So we had to say, okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Anyway, that's kind of what we focused on and then we've been making videos for all of our songs. So we have a few songs left. We haven't made a video for Priceless Arms or the song "The Day the Mages Died." Yeah. So that's on BG2, and then we'll be done making videos for every song we've put on our albums. And at that point, we're at some kind of a point where we've fully promoted all the material we have.
You got to get it all. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We're planning on taking a trip down to the Colorado sand dunes in the spring with some friends of ours at the coolest store here in town called Black and Red Music, Books, and Games. There's a little pitch there for my friends. Yeah, we're supposed to go down there and do a trip there and do some video shoots for a couple of videos that we have coming up, because that's how the second album starts off, which is, of course, the Giants, the Drow, and then Loth. That is our second album.
Exactly. Yeah, we were actually done, and we didn't have, I think it just wasn't cohesive for the intro to the album. We had really good ideas, but we needed kind of a mass introduction there.
A transitionary song.
I think that's where we really went to the depths of the Greyhawk lore, and we found the original characters that were run by the original guys. And so we talked about Rary and Robilar, and that whole thing with the desert was supposed to meet them out in the desert because it was some.
Yeah, according to what we read, they fled to the desert.
They fled to the desert to hide.
So that's in the song. So since we're going to the sand dunes, which looks like this huge desert, and for that purpose, because that's how much we care. Just stick to the authenticity of telling the tale of Greyhawk, Gary Gygax, and wizards like Allen here.
Hey, you may have another request too. Speaking of being people's heroes, Damien also wants to know: has any band ever made a tribute song for Warduke?
That might be possible, actually.
There you go, guys.
That might be. Yeah, hit us up. Let's do something.
Give us some ideas.
We do for all of those characters. Yeah,
I'm not much for
Damien. There you go. Step into history, my friend. Be the guy that inspired Warduke, and maybe we can get Alan to play Warduke in the video.
Yeah.
What do you think, Alan? A little half chainmail affair and a big spade bladed sword.
Absolutely. I actually have a nice piece of metal that I call my orc sword. It was the head of a polearm, but without the polearm. But it had this wicked curve and the back blade on it. I mean, it's cool. Indescribably cool.
Well, there you go. You're halfway there, guys. Did we just have a moment? I think we just had an artistic moment here. Thanks to Damien over in the comments over here.
Yeah, maybe have your people call us. We'll have our people call Alan.
There you go.
Let me tell you folks something. Damien is the best. He's a wonderful person. We love Damien. He is really the best. So there you go, bud.
I kept expecting there to be a butt there, but
no.
Okay.
We're also fortunate to live in Colorado, and it's a really great place for scenery. So if you're looking for video shoot material for a video, there's a lot of great places.
The forest.
we had for one of our videos, we went to the Bishop's Castle, which is just an amazing place.
Oh, Bishop's Castle. Yeah, we did that for Keep on the Borderlands.
If you've ever been there, it's like a giant hamster cage.
So the guy built the castle himself. Him and his family built this castle.
It's incredible.
Themselves. Fought the county with the taxes and the land. This guy's a living legend.
Yeah, it is epic, man.
And,
I mean, there's circular stairways, like 3 or 4 different towers. It's like this giant hamster cage on the very top. That's like he took a wire mesh, and it feels like you're not even able to walk on it. It's really kind of creepy. But
only the brave.
Because the walk of like the leap of faith walk too in the middle of the castle. There's just like a pathway going out into the middle of nowhere, and if you're brave enough to go walking on this thing,
I'll leave that to braver people than me. Even if I do ever visit it.
Yeah, it's great. So a lot of forest of Fangahor.
There's a lot of great mountain ranges, and then like he said, the desert. You have the dunes, and then you have. There's a lot. I mean, there's still even sandstones or like where red rocks are, and a lot of different terrain.
Garden of the Gods. Remember, we did a shoot down there.
It's a nice place in Colorado Springs, outside of Colorado Springs. Really beautiful place.
Yep.
Well, speaking of inspirational things and modules that inspire things, you kind of touched on this just a little bit. Allen, you have kind of set your sights on some new adventuring products, have you not? Some stuff you're going to be bringing out soon?
Well, here's the deal. First, the good news. I'm now, as of January 1st, retired from my mundane job of 27 years. Yay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All hail.
Which hopefully will result in more time to not concentrate on just making a living, and hopefully do more artistic stuff like writing. There are a couple of companies that you would know that have said, whenever you're ready, write something, we'll publish it. So there is I am going to be helping Paul Stormberg with one of his Legends of Role-Playing tournaments for GaryCon.
Excellent.
And as a matter of fact, it may or may not involve something called Inverness. So.
Oh,
awesome.
Really? All right.
We can neither confirm nor deny.
Cannot confirm or deny. But if it is confirmed, remember, you guys heard it here on the Delvers.
You may or may not have heard it here.
That's awesome. It's good to hear that, man. Yeah, I can totally see that. That's what we need to get. Someday we'll be there. It's like, whatever you write, just send it to us. We'll publish it. Just send it to us. Someday we can only hope. No, that is awesome, man. That's great.
That is very, very, very good news.
And well deservedly so, of course.
Thank you. Oh, thanks a lot.
I can only imagine trying to write something, we have stuff that we can't talk about yet that is gonna hopefully come online with some people that we're working with, and so we can't wait ourselves. But yeah, if you're ever available for some editing work, we were just talking about it, we could use a good editor. Set it your rates, and whatever your normal rate is, Allen, double it.
Speaking of the Marx Brothers, if you ever look up the routine of how much when Chico has the stuff about how much the musicians charge to play versus how much they charge to not play versus how much they charge to rehearse, and he goes, "You couldn't afford it," So.
Yeah, if we have to rehearse, you got to pay us.
That's ironic you say that, because I've had a few offers. Something's like, "Oh, come and play the Lord of the Rings songs as a wandering violinist." I said, $350, and they're like, kind of looking at me like, "What?" I have to learn all the songs, dude. I don't, give me a little time. So yeah, that happens as a lot as a musician.
I gotta get on my soapbox here for just a second. You guys are talking about running RPGs, and I mean, Allen, anything I could say about you writing RPGs would fall utterly short of the reality of your experience. But I think, and I've written stuff professionally, and I have willingly created free things. But one thing, our hobby, all three of us shared, and you folks out there in the comments and anybody listening to this later, whether or not you liked the guy or agree with 100% with everything I said, our hobby, since it existed, since it was created, even the proto prior to D&D times, has been in desperate need of a Harlan Ellison. And I'll tell you why. Because Harlan Ellison, regardless of what you think of his fiction, his attitudes about other things, social matters, whatever, said the three most important words ever. And I will expand on the last one. But the three words he said are, pay the writer. Pay the writer. Pay the writer. And I say, pay the creator. Pay the creator. When people come to you guys as musicians and say, oh, be a wandering violinist and play the Lord of the Rings songs, here's $50. Or would you do it for exposure? There'll be lots of important people at my gathering. Or I'm doing a zine. Alan, would you contribute to it as a TSR veteran and help us get off the ground for free? You know, a few 1,000-word module, just throw in there. I mean,
it works for free.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a time commitment. I think that's what people forget is that you have time. You know?
Get paid for what you're doing if you create. I mean, and Ellison's point was after he had done Babylon 5, Warner Brothers called him up and said, oh, we're putting out the DVD series of Babylon 5. And he said, oh, that's nice. And the woman on the phone said, well, would you come down and record commentary for the episodes? And he said, of course. Are you flying me down there? And she was like, and he said, what are you paying me? And the woman said, well, you know, Jeff and Bob and Tim and Jim and all the other people, they're doing it for free. And he said, well, then frankly, they're idiots. Pay the writer. Get paid for what you do creatively. Your time is worth something. Your creativity is worth something. And friends in the comments and my friends here on the video with me, it's valuable. Get paid for what you're doing, for goodness sakes.
I appreciate that, Bill.
Absolutely.
And to flip it as a publisher, you get what you pay for. If you're not willing to pay anything, what you get will be worth nothing. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, you know, I don't have the sales figures because it was all work on spec, you know, but I would dare say that Lost Crypt, which was a workup of something I worked on with Gary that I released for the Troll Lords, probably sold, and not even counting the pre-sales, just through sales, has probably sold more than the free stuff I did back in the early 2000s when I was kind of jump-starting the OSR thing. Probably sold more than that free stuff gave away. Because people look at something and say, if you're charging me $19.95 for that module, that's got to have some value. If this is just something you knocked out over a weekend and just kind of threw up as a PDF, maybe I'll download the PDF, maybe I won't, you know. But, you know, absolutely, I think more of us, again, creators and anyone who is thinking of if you're out there, again, and you're in the audience, you're watching the comments live right now, whatever, and you're thinking, well, I'll just, you know, this guy over here wants to put me in his zine, or this publishing company wants me to write a few free adventures and put them out there, and then we'll kind of tell them to go to hell. Get paid for what you do.
You're absolutely right. You know. And so we wanted to pay respects when we first were working with Alan, and he was nice enough to come out to Denver and be at Genghis Khan with us. You know,
what a great time! Thank you guys again. You were
no. It was our pleasure. It was all ours, man. Are you kidding me? Had a chance to look up and I was like, what? So as Bards of Greyhawk, we sponsored his appearance as a special guest of honor, and it was just a great time. It was actually our first con that we did. So it was very momentous to have Alan as a part of it. It would always be special because we played a number of cons since then, performed or booked or a booth at. And, you know, things are different, but I'm glad to see the cons are happening again. Everyone's being safe, of course.
Yes.
So, but yeah, back then, you know, before everything changed, it was just great to have him there. And it was just great working with him, picking him up at the airport, the whole experience, the whole Allen experience.
Did they meet you with a nice placard that said Galap-Driedel on it? Or just a picture of a big blue gem?
I was a bit undercover, so
I see. You
I'll just hold the big cover of the Ghost Tower of Inverness, just a big printout of the Ghost Tower.
Yeah.
Just hold that.
I guess I think we thought it was Galap-Driedel, so I think that's how we pronounced it. But I guess it's Galap-Driedel.
We pronounce it the elite way. We don't know pronounce it like the plebs.
The hoity-toity bards have their way of saying it.
Yes. We must say it differently.
Yeah, and a rhythmic, repetition. Driedel.
That's the song. We can make it fit. Yeah, because so let's just add an extra syllable to fit the meter of the song.
Now.
Well, I think we know what you meant. I mean, I have in the same conversation with Gary, he said both a Sazerac and a Sararak. So who knows? I mean,
it's questionable.
Well, Alan knows. Alan, how do we say it?
Oh no! We weren't allowed to edit Gary. Come on.
Well, so you said editing Gary, and I know you worked on editing the World of Greyhawk box set, and I will tell a funny story about editing Gary. The big module that unfortunately never got published because of someone who will go nameless's interference that I worked on with Gary was Teeth of the Barkesh-Nor, and Gary kind of gave me latitude to do certain things creatively within the framework of what he'd written. But we come to a point in the module. Now, this is not in Lost Crypt, so, unfortunately, will likely never see the light of day. But in Teeth of the Barkesh-Nor, there is the Great Goblin Hall, and it's 300 goblins and a goblin king, and they're in one room. And I read that, and I thought, okay, well, maybe, I've got, okay, I will design a complex of goblins, a cave warren, 25 goblins over here, 18 goblins all worshiping Hexter or Maglubiet or whoever in a chamber over here, the king and his consorts and his bodyguard over here. And so I told Gary, I said, I will break this out into a dungeon. And he said, nope, all 300 of them, one room. So be it. So in my manuscript, you walk into a cave. There are 300 goblins and a great goblin king in the cave. And that is exactly as it was in his notes. And that is exactly how it went into my manuscript. So to you, Alec, did you ever, when you were editing Greyhawk, did you ever hit any points like that where you're like, this would make a lot more sense if this was like this? And you went to Gary, and did he say, yeah, that's a good idea, or no, don't you dare?
Yes. This probably started working on that in late 78 or early 79. And at the time, Gary's office was physically just a couple of doors down from mine. And it was before, what I call the separation, came when the other executives who shall remain nameless convinced him that executives shouldn't mingle with the hoi polloi as much as he did. Yeah. But yes, I could walk into his office and say, hey, this just doesn't make sense. You referenced something that doesn't exist. You probably meant to give this section to me, but you haven't written it yet. So either you need to write it or we need to delete this. And when it's something clear and concrete like that, he was very reasonable. Now, later on, not so much. He got pretty touchy to the point where, as our TSR joke was, you edited Gary with a feather duster made of pixie wings, very lightly.
Yeah.
So, but yes, in the earlier days, he was much more receptive, to a standard, kind of editing questions and things. So.
Right. I got you. Jeff Easley told a funny story about was it Easley? No, it was Larry Elmore, because he did the cover of the later edition basic box set, and he kept sending it back, or he'd do the art, it'd go out, and it'd come back, and Gary had written in pen on the margins, no. And so he changed the art and he'd send it back, and it'd come back, no. And finally he got fed up and stomped down to the office and just right past the secretary, and he could see Gary's feet sitting up on the desk from out in the room. And she's like, well, what do you want? And he said, I want to talk to Gary. And she's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm the artist. And he could hear Gary say, who is it? And she's like, it's Jeff Easley, and or Larry Elmore. Well, what do you want? And he said, I want you to tell me what this means. And goes in it, and he's like, oh yeah, I just want one fighter. Thank you. And storms back out.
Yeah, and a lot of times it was something simple like that, and you had to, just a couple of seconds more of explanation would have been nice, So
yeah, just writing no in red pen on your print, on the print you're working for, and sending it back across the hall was a little.
The writings are cryptic.
I must go to the dungeon master and have this interpreted. Oh my goodness! But yeah. So writers, talk to your artists, please. please don't draw on their on their prints as they're in progress. That's all I ask.
Yeah, and it works so much better when we were in the hotel in Lake Geneva, when the designers and editors and artists were all on the same floor of one building and could walk down the hall and to the artist and say, this is what I want. And 30 minutes later, the artist comes back, something like this. Oh, yes, except, and it was fixed in 30 minutes instead of the 2 days or 5 days or whatever poor Larry suffered,
Yeah. So when you were working on the A book and C, you had that flexibility. You could go to the art department and say, I want this. I want the fire giant heaving back like he's getting ready to throw the football there.
Well, heck, in the very first days, my office was in the same loft as Dave Sutherland and Dave Trampier. So it would literally, I could make a paper airplane of my request and send it over to one of the Daves.
Awesome.
Nice. That is great.
I want to know more about the very first rare copies of the module and how those came about.
The green Inverness, which if God is good, I'll get to hold one day.
Do you have a copy of those? I'm assuming you have at least one. I'm assuming.
I just sold my last copy in a private auction.
Oh wow!
I'm retiring and I'm downsizing, and it's
sure.
That's
a good way to help retire.
I completely understand.
It's time to share some of the treasures with other folks.
So tell us about how that came about and who did it, and
and that's where the C came from. Competition. These were modules that were designed specifically for tournaments at conventions we were running, and the idea was that they would be sold the day after they were run, because at a typical kind of situation, you would go to a Gen Con, play in the AD&D Open, and maybe a year or two later, you'd see it come out as a module. And we thought, why not try to harness the excitement of all the people that played in the tournament at that same convention, and we'd have a built-in customer base. So we decided to make competition modules and have a Ziploc bag version of the module, a limited edition of 200 available, at the convention, and we were right. They sold out at the conventions, and of course, at the time, selling 200 copies of something was a big cash infusion for TSR laying out for employees to go to cons.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a big deal. And the people that got them, of course, really enjoyed it. The copy 001 of the green ones is owned by one of the players who won in that tournament. In the tournament
that's awesome.
that featured it. So, David Baxter, great actor, and a really nice guy. But yeah, he is so proud of that. He's enjoyed.
What year was that?
I want to say 80 or possibly, I think it was 80, 1980.
I was 10 years old. It was so awesome. Oh my goodness, I haven't even heard of it yet. So a few years later, when I finally played it, and it was, and then later ran it, that's when I liked it, but I really fell in love with it when I ran it. I got to just see all the secrets and what
I like to say I was writing some great purple prose back then. So yeah, I was dishing it out. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but it sings, man. It's good stuff. We
love writing a song about it, and we love working with you, man. And yeah, this has just been great, man. This has been a great experience.
Yeah, I loved it, you guys. Loved it, and I loved working with you again. So great to see y'all.
Definitely. So, we are. Oh my gosh, we've been going for time has flown by. I thought we might be.
Yeah.
One beer's worth. But goodness, we have certainly talked a lot. Is there anything we've left uncovered this time around?
We could go on and on and on, but we have,
you gotta save something for the sequel.
Exactly.
Okay.
Always leave them wanting more.
Yeah,
that's right.
All right. Well, it has been an absolutely sagacious experience with Allen, with Bards of Greyhawk. We've had so much fun here. And, the guys talking about con, of course, put me in the mind of the fact that we are now a little over 100 subs to the YouTube channel where this is going out from. And when we hit 1,000 subs, we're going to have a little mini con. We're going to have a little convention, a little virtual convention. I can't quite cram more than myself and a few other people in this room. Sure. But this room gets so crowded with more than like 5 people, you got to step outside just to change your mind. So I will say a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel thus far. I really, really appreciate it. Go tell your friends and your family and your loved ones and the guys on the street. Tell them to come and subscribe to the Delver's Dungeon on YouTube for more fantastic videos and appearances by great guys like Allen and the Bards. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for coming by tonight. Thank you for premiering the video. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Well, one more thing I did want to say was that if everyone who hasn't seen the video yet on our channel, if you could do us a favor, go give it a view. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. But thanks for streaming it here for all of your viewers. It's been great, and I'm glad to be one of your viewers. It's keep up the good work, man.
Well, I am glad to have your custom, absolutely. And Allen
Alan, you did a great job. He sent us 2 takes on that. He's such a professional. And I used all 3 of the second takes. They were all an improvement. I saw it.
It is fantastic. You guys go check out the video, Bards of Greyhawk. Allen, we're going to have you on the show. When your stuff comes out, we're going to have you on the show for another interview, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And talk to you about that. So
much, Bill.
Thank you very much to our audience.
Comic books. We got comic books.
Yes.
Originals, signed and numbered, Jeff Diart.
Cannot wait.
Pay the writers. Pay the writers.
Pay the writers. Pay the writers. Pay the
gosh writers. Coloring book.
All right. Well, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. I'm going to go turn another year old. And with that, I will.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All hail the Dungeon Delver.
Thank you all. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for being here.
All right.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.